You can run, but you cannot hide. Singaporean Tam Kok Wah was on the run from police here for more than 30 years. He's suspected of being involved in a murder. He was hiding in Australia all this while until he was arrested recently for another crime there. Now 76 years old, Mr. Tham was sentenced to 6 years and 9 months in jail in New South Wales after he admitted to passport fraud and deception. He used a fake identity to get an Australian passport and pension benefits of about $97,000. When he was arrested, he admitted that his true identity was Tam Kok Wah, born in Singapore on October 7, 1943. He fled to Australia in 1986 when he was 43. Now we have senior law correspondent K.C. Vijayan in the studio to tell us more. Welcome, Vijay.
Thank you.
Now, Vijay, we know that Tam Kok Wah is a person of interest in a murder case and described as a wanted man in a 1989 SD report. How did Tam manage to escape to Australia and stay undetected all this while?
Well, he left Singapore in 1986 on a passport with a slightly different name and emerged again in 1991.
Right.
Where he apparently met, it's a bit of a mystery, those 5 years, how he survived, except that he went under the name of Henry Tam.
Right.
But he met somebody in a gambling house and whom he said offered him a citizenship certificate for about 3,000.
Okay.
Under the name of Roger Lee. Roger Lee is a Hong Konger.
Okay.
I mean, apparently that's it.
Yeah.
And then about a few months later, he changed that. He renounced the name of Roger Lee on that citizenship and assumed the name of Simon Manley. And he thrived under Simon Manley for quite a while in Australia, applying for passports, traveling under the name of Simon Manley, who's actually also given as a Hong Konger. Yeah.
Right, right.
Until in the course of his stay in Australia, he committed 2 offences. One of it was for helping in the supply of drugs, for which he was jailed for about 6 years.
Okay.
Yes, for supply of ecstasy.
Right.
It's amazing that he still maintained that identity of Simon Manley until subsequently he was Australian Federal Police did some tracking in relation to the passports that he used. He renewed his passport several times and he used travel. And he also based those documents to be eligible for benefits, social security benefits and so on.
And eventually he was caught because the police raided his home.
Yes, and they recovered some documents and so on.
Okay, and found that 2 passports as well.
Yes, right? yes.
And eventually that was when he was identified and he
confessed, he admitted, yes, that his actual name was, as what was stated in 1986, Tam
Kok Wah.
Yes, Tam Kok Wah.
And it was actually born Singaporean.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Yes.
And because of that, of course, he has been sentenced to a 6 years jail term, right, in Australia.
Yes.
Now the question is then, Vijay, can he be brought back to Singapore to assist in the murder case?
Well, in a way, these are early days, but the judge did mention in passing that deportation may not be an issue. He didn't say the reasons why.
Right.
One can think that in Australia they do not deport wanted persons who may be subject to the death penalty in an overseas country. So that could be a factor. If I may take you back to about 2002, 2005, there was a precedent case of Michael McCrea, where he was wanted for the murder of 2 persons in Singapore, known as the Orchard Towers murder.
Okay.
Subsequently, the authorities here gave an undertaking that he would not be subject to the death penalty. And then he was brought back, and I believe he's still serving his sentence. It's about 24 years jail term, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And for Tam, of course, he has just recently started, right?
Yes, he started in he was detained in 2018. So about a year, more than a year.
And of course, with parole, it's about 4 years.
4 years, about 2024. Yeah, to 24, around that. That's
Right. And of course, like what you mentioned, Vijay is still in its early days.
Yes,
we're not quite sure what
Eventual
will
outcome.
eventually
Yes.
happen. Well, thank you so much, Vijay, for coming on to the show to share more on this. Now, to read more on the story, you can check it out on straitstimes.com.